Okay. So, at long last, my friends, this is a big moment for me. I've been pursuing a conversation with this lady for a month at least, but I've followed her messages and her stories for many years, and she's been on the cutting edge of spiritual consciousness, the truth movement, and our awakening. And she gives great interviews and does great posts. So she's also read the 10 books of Anastasia, the Ringing Cedars series, which was the original inspiration. And we definitely want to talk about that because that's a deep mystery. So she's really committed 110%. And she's an inspiration to me, truly. The lovely Jessica Schab, do we say Schab?
Job. Yeah.
Schab, thank you. Thank
Unfortunately,
you.
sounds very similar to Klaus Schwab. Ah,
Uh,
that sucks.
We'll go with Schab. Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
So thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Anything you want to add to my introduction?
No, that's perfect. Thank you. It's very sweet.
You're very
Um,
welcome.
yeah,
Pleasure. I mean, I think I got introduced to you through Carrie Cassidy's interview with you.
I think a lot of people have.
Yes, yes.
They
You've got,
found me. Yeah.
yeah, but you're a wonderful truth teller and you're all revved up. And I said, I've got to turn the record on now so we can save this. So you were saying you've been in 40 countries in your life, I think, something like this.
Yeah, so we were talking about that because of you're asking the situation in Canada right now. You're also following, what's going on out here.
Yes,
And Ireland, which I've
yes,
been to Ireland and I love Ireland, Newgrange and let's see,
right?
Dublin and Cork and
Yes,
yeah,
I'm in
my thoughts
court.
about that because it's so easy to go to so many tangents. But
Sure, sure.
yeah, so kind of BC where I'm in is like a slow cooking frog compared to the other provinces where they've had it really bad. And the reason I was talking about traveling and all the places that I've been and even living in Bali and Portugal for the last several years and still being in Canada where many Canadians have left to go to Mexico. Like I said, I do feel that like since they're going for the whole world, sooner or later they'd like it that nowhere is safe. But I feel also that like I don't want to spread fear or anything like that, just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
rehash everything we were talking about.
sure.
But I feel that where we are situated in the world is we're meant to be here. If all the freedom fighters left Canada, then Canada would definitely sink into communism, right? So
Okay.
we're here for a reason. We're fighting
Yeah,
here for a reason,
yeah.
and I do think that they will fail, and
Yes, I agree.
we'll be here to, pick up the pieces and build something way more beautiful than what was here before.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, perfect segue. That was brilliant. Thank you. Perfect segue to Anastasia, who is, we believe, a real person. Yeah, and who's been the subject of these 10 books that have sold millions of copies throughout Russia, Siberia, and throughout the West. And can you talk a little bit about your connection to Anastasia and the books and how all that has inspired you?
I found these books before my Project Camelot interview,
Hmm,
and wearing actually a ringing cedar pendant in that interview.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've known about these books for quite some time.
Yeah.
I just found them randomly on the internet one day. I believe I was in my early 20s. And I mean, anyone who knows these books understand, the effect it has over you, the amount of poetry that comes through you. I believe that's what really made me want to share more of my messages with the world. Like just more and more insight was coming through me.
Okay.
And it was very difficult to have a normal 9 to 5 job because I only wanted to talk about things that were, I guess, considered inappropriate for work. I was also extremely intuitive and,
Right.
for lack of a better term, psychic with my coworkers. So that was kind of freaking them out.
Right.
Um, but so yeah, that's why I was like, all I could do was speak at that time. And so and many people it spoke to them as well and
Yeah.
brought me on this journey. Had all these lovely people find me like you, but yeah, these books are very near and dear. It's about a woman, Anastasia, who was found living in the Siberia taiga,
Hmm.
and
Which is a forest. Yeah.
there's so many wonderful things to share, but how I like to put it is, first thing is she only wears a tiny little white dress and all through the whole year, basically. So she doesn't get cold. And she'll talk about how our body, is we always cover up, put layers and fight, the cold. And
Yeah.
if you surrender to it, and there's studies on that too now that's coming out, like the Iceman, Wim
Sure.
Hof, and things
Yeah.
like that. Right?
Yeah.
So just so that was fascinating, first of all, because I was born in Winterpeg in the winter and I get cold very easily. And
Okay.
I never liked the cold. So I'm like, okay, change your relationship to the cold, right? It's
Right.
my relationship. I'm like, that's
Right.
interesting.
Beautiful.
Um, right away. And then just the kind of abilities that she has. So she lives in the forest. She doesn't live in a house. She doesn't want a house, no shelter really of any kind. No objects like cooking utensils or whatever, we hear primitive man or uses,
Yeah.
that live in the forest on their own, like a recluse, like she's called as well.
Yeah.
None of that. She has no need for any of that stuff. And yet she has every kind of ability, psychically, spiritually, you can imagine.
Right.
She's ever been to our world. She knows all about our world, all of our countries, what's going on with the people. She knows about our history way before the Bible as well.
Right.
And she's able to bilocate to other dimensions and other worlds, no problem.
Wow.
And is able to just sing, dance, just every single thing you can imagine.
Right.
And when people meet her or hear about her, they're like, well, she's not human. She's an angel. She's an alien.
Right.
She's a goddess. And I love that she says, no, I'm human. I'm what you guys are supposed to be had you not lost your connection to nature.
Wow.
And I think that's what really spoke to me the most, is
Right.
that we're constantly, particularly in the spiritual movement, there's this regale towards not being human, being something else, being an alien, being a goddess, like all these kind of things, and something, they're all true, but we're not giving the merit towards being human. We've been taught to treat the body like ball and chains to the spirit.
Yeah.
So there's a war going on with our physical form as well.
Yeah.
Because I think some part of us is unconsciously blaming it for keeping us here and suffering in this way, not seeing that the gift of marrying and the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and balancing it to birth the inner child again, right?
Right.
And connect with our inner child again. So that's how I got it. And I just thought that these books are so important. I want the world to know about them. I want to share them, so if I'm whatever I end up doing, I'm going to promote these books.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but I've read all the 10 books out loud.
Yes, I've seen that.
I believe it was last year and the year before. It was a lockdown project of mine, along with memorizing all the countries of the world. So
so huge.
So that's what we did.
Beautiful. Sorry. Go on.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, after you.
Okay, go ahead.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, no, and I tried to do I'm very dyslexic and I read very fast, and because I can read 400 words a minute, but when I read out loud, like I absolutely love reading out loud too, as if I'm reading a bedtime or story to the world, like a children kind of a thing. I don't have any kids, so you guys are like my kids, and I just care so much. I've just fallen in love with humanity and their potential.
Yes.
And I just even everything I share on social media, it's very calculated as intuitively about what does my I call them my soul family, what do they need.
I
understand I have a lot of awake people that are there, so I don't want to be preaching to the choir per se, but I want to, a lot of us are very frustrated. We're very, losing faith and all these kind of things. Like, how do I uplift and motivate, and continue, to get them to see, the best is yet to come.
Beautiful.
And so the book, so aside from, if you do listen to my audio version, I just want to always forewarn people, like, there's going to be a lot of errors, because I also don't speak Russian, even though my background is Polish, Ukrainian, and Russian.
Okay.
And that I am somehow have a connection to the Russian royal family as well. I'm not sure how,
Okay.
but we're in our family photo album.
Oh,
So I just find that kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm like, oh, the
yes.
Romanovs here. Oh, they're your family. Apparently, your grandmother confessed in our death. I'm like, okay. In what way? I don't know, but yeah.
Well,
Um,
that's sorry, let me just jump in for a second, Jessica. That's fascinating, honey, because of course Anastasia was this very famous Russian um, queen, princess, member of the royal family. Ingrid
that's
Bergman did a film with Yul Brynner about
right.
Anastasia, which I happened to see a year ago or something like this, you know, in some rainy afternoon here in Ireland. I wound up watching this thing. So there is an Anastasia in the Russian royal family as well.
There is, yes, and there's many stories that she didn't die, and that the royal family were looking for her and everything, and like it's a princess in disguise sort of a story.
Right.
Um, I have seen that movie with Ingrid Bergman, but I also I what I do for work right now is I work in VFX and animation. So I love animation. So I'm very fondly attached also to the animated DreamWorks
Right.
Anastasia
Yes,
show
there
as well.
yes,
With
they did one
John.
as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
yeah, I find that interesting, right? But she said she wrote these books for, who is meant to find them, and their heart will know what to do. They'll connect with it in a way that, either you'll start writing poetry or you'll have some inventions or ideas that will make the world a better place.
Yeah.
I do believe your seeds here, planted here to make the world a better place. And
Yes.
so
Well
to ask
said.
yourself, what seed are we? What tree are we? What can we give? What do we see that the world needs right now?
Yes. And sweetheart, you're wearing a ringing cedars piece there. That's
Yeah,
lovely. Yeah.
I am.
And
Yes.
how does that energy, I mean, I know you're very psychic and intuitive. That's absolutely plain as the nose on your face, which is a joy. How does that affect you energetically, and why is that? How do you connect to that? How do you feel the energy of that?
It's more just again reminding me of because it's so easy in our daily life to just forget about our divinity and what we're here to do and get caught up in the human drama. So it's a reconnecting and
Beautiful.
reminding of that. Um, and just the oneness of humanity, the brilliance of how nature is mirroring this all the time, and the love that they have for humanity as well.
Mhm.
These ringing cedars in the book, they talk about them sacrificing themselves for man because they love them so much.
Yeah.
And the ringing is, I like the word ringing as well, and that they do have rings on them physically,
Mhm.
um, all trees, and synonymous for the word, because I love to write as well and poetry. So
Mhm.
ringing, like it's calling you.
Yeah.
Are you going to pick up that phone? It's ringing constantly.
Right. Right. And
So
it's beautiful, and it's generating an energy also that the cedars are ringing and kind of singing, like sending off a healing vibration to everyone.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I also love to remind people, particularly when it's really challenging, that you know we've been conditioned to believe we're nothing more than a worthless piece of coal.
Hmm.
Under extreme pressure can be the cabal, right?
Right.
Um, but it's an alchemical journey. What happens to a piece of coal under extreme heat and pressure?
Turns into a diamond.
It's a diamond. And
Yeah.
so it's the same thing for us. With my first poem I wrote, The Journey, or Soul Archaeology. I keep changing the name for some reason, but it's all about a tree, a piece of fruit on a tree that falls to the ground, and it talks about like it being on the tree and how it's like a heaven sort of a feeling, knowing who you are, nursed into love, birthed into being, and then falling one day and then realizing, well, I have to surrender because I can't fight this fall. And then it lands on the ground, and the birds and the insects eat its skin and flesh. Everything it thinks it is now gone, except the seed. That
Yeah.
if the bird knew, planted in the ground, it gets buried. And
Yeah.
then a lot of fertilizer happens too. Maybe something poops on it too.
Sure.
And again, that's mirroring our journey, because I'm sure we all feel like that. We're in darkness and silence, feeling all alone. A lot of fertilizers dumped on us. You froze. I hope you're still there.
I'm
The
here. Yeah.
recording.
No, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, okay. A lot of fertilizer is dumped on us, and we, but like there's something that has to happen. I'm wondering when we're underground in that point and all that shit's surrounding us.
Yes.
That I'm sure that little piece of that seed, that little fruit was thinking, you know what? I so badly want to go home.
Yeah.
Because we all know we're not from here.
Hmm.
We all know that this is not right, what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
Something in us, something's very wrong.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere else where this stuff isn't an issue anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that I feel that they have this realization that, you know what, if I can't go home, I have to become home. And
Beautiful.
that's the point that makes it, start to bud, start to break out, and it can grow through rocks even, which is incredible. Little,
Yeah.
blade of grass that
Yeah.
it is, like it's so fragile, we can tear it off, but yet it grows through a rock somehow,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it bursts forth through the surface and it sees it's not alone. There's other little seedlings making their journey as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like that is our journey, and nature is constantly showing and reminding us. So that's also what this represents.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like to wear it as it's a good conversation starter too, right? It's
Sure.
another way to preach the book. So why do you wear this all the time? Well, here's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent.
I don't take it off. I shower in it, I sleep in it, and do everything with it.
Very good. Yes.
But nothing with it.
Yeah. No, it's a constant reminder of your connection to the earth and to the divine feminine and the mystic and the power of nature and our spiritual journey, as you said, and and the gift of life itself, I guess. Yeah. All of that.
And
You
also,
said a little
it
while
also
ago, that was, sorry, go on.
okay, so it was also the promise that she made in the books that to carry humanity across the dark window of time.
I see.
It's also
I
why I
see.
chose to read the books aloud when I did. First of all, because I knew a lot of people weren't getting the book. Like
Yeah.
they were getting the black ones, and I'm very much against the black ones. I know Vladimir Megri, the author, didn't
Yeah.
even produce those ones. Those
Oh,
were actually stolen from him.
oh
And
dear.
another publishing company did it, and we know that they're watered down and
Oh,
not the original message.
oh,
So I had access to the green ones, the original with the original covers.
right.
Um, and
Who's the
I wanted
publisher? Who's
both.
the publisher of the green ones? Do you know for us?
No, I don't know off the top of my head. It's
Okay,
something
we'll put it in the notes. We'll find out and put it. We'll put it in the
Russian.
notes. That's okay.
Something Russian. I don't speak much Russian.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Spasibo. I should though. I really should. That should be
No,
my next
you're
project
okay.
is learn some.
We'll dig it out.
But
We'll find out. Yeah.
But so that's why like they're online too. So I just shared the
Yes.
link online. They're free for people to read, but some people just don't want to read anymore, particularly with the YouTube and social media and all that stuff in a short attention span, or they're listening to podcasts. So it was like, oh, if I'll just read it out loud to everybody then, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
way, like, right before bed, whatever, and just
Yeah.
I just thought like that, or you're doing a long road trip or something, you can listen to it this way.
Sure.
And so that's also why I did it. I wanted to make sure they had the right version.
Yeah.
And if you don't read, no problem. You have an audio version now,
Oh, yeah.
because I was looking for audio versions before,
Right.
and all I could find was like a male reading it, or they had like a robotic voice kind of thing. And I'm like, no, this is not the vibration that you should have when you're reading these books. It completely is a turnoff,
Right.
Um,
Right.
you should just have a female reading it, I feel, as well.
Yes.
Definitely not a robot, because that's an oxymoron,
Yes.
And yeah, I tried my best to try to do voices as well, because
You did
I'm a
great.
kid.
You did great. I heard an
I
hour
like
of it. You did great.
I like cartoons, and and so yeah, I tried to imagine what Anastasia would sound like, and
Yes.
try to do Vladimir and everybody else in the books. And yeah, so that was just another thing I wanted to add that kind of just came up. What were you gonna say? Sorry
No,
for
that's
that.
lovely. I had a girlfriend who had a little boy, and he was ADD, a kind of wild kid who was tough to keep his attention. And so I was a big Harry Potter fan. And so one day I literally read him 8 straight hours of Harry Potter, and as an experiment to see what it would take to please him. And of course, he said more at the end of that 8 straight hours. but so I do have that experience, and you really have my full admiration and respect for your commitment again to sharing this work, because it is a huge thing. 10 books, 8 hours each is a lot of energy. It's a great lockdown, project. Um, yeah, and I thought you did a great job. I've heard the first hour. That's how far I've gone into your readings. Um, but yeah, the message, like you're saying, this is the other thing, Jessica. It's I was yesterday, a couple women friends of mine here in Ireland. One is Tracy O'Connor, and the other is Laura Murphy. They have a group here called Her Story, and Laura was instrumental with many other women in getting Bridget, Saint Bridget, to become the first national holiday in Ireland in honor of a woman. And so that's happening for the first time this year. And Bridget goes back something like 1,300 years, something like this, in the story of Ireland. Yeah, so I'll send you some of this info because it's very connected. The other thing is that I mean, I've been studying with different teachers for 35 years. The theme of the divine feminine, the divine mother, the return of the goddess, that's absolutely everywhere with anyone who is paying attention to what's happening on the planet. As you said, the rebirth of the sacred, and the beauty of nature and of life itself, and respect for all life. So Addie Lambourne and Patricia Cota-Robles, they've been wonderful inspirations for me about all of that, as well as many, excuse me, many others. So yeah, this just is in my, this is right up my alley with Anastasia and yourself, and honoring the feminine, honoring the earth, and supporting women teachers, quite honestly, helping women find their voice and their power, and come out to the world and share their wisdom as you've been doing so beautifully. So I just wanted to put all that into the mix there with you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like we know how, the world's been run by masculine energy power for a long time, and females have been repressed, and they are now coming forward and, taking on this sort of their role and balance. But I still think that, no one's been more repressed in every culture that I can think of, that I've researched, than the child.
Right, right. Brutal.
And
Yeah.
like patronizing them or thinking we know better. And the Ringing Cedar books, Anastasia is the only one who I saw really, honored the child and showed the wisdom we have in children. And when I traveled the world meeting different children, I've always had parents want me to meet their children, and I found them to be very, very advanced. They were telling me stories about past lives they remember, and other worlds, other lives, future lives.
Wow.
And I understand that children, when we're born, we know exactly who we are, what we came to this planet to do. And then at about 5 or 6, we start to forget and disconnect from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the amnesia veil sets in, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and Anastasia really talks about that, because the book is a lot about raising children as well, and family, and
Okay.
gardens, and kin's domain, and land for ourselves, and how to build a relationship with your land so that it will protect you and provide everything for you, that you won't have to worry about chemicals or pesticides or anything like that, or even seeing a doctor, because
Yeah.
like there's one thing that's very famous in it that I can mention is
Okay.
keep putting the seed in your mouth before planting it in the ground,
Right.
and having it sit in your saliva for 9 minutes, and
Wow.
then planting it, and then that seed will know exactly what your body needs
Wow.
and will grow according to that. Same
Wow.
with, before putting on socks first thing in the morning, walking in your garden barefoot, because all your toxins come through your bottom of your feet. And
Right.
again, your plants will know exactly what your body is fighting and dealing with, and will grow in accordance to that.
Yeah.
Right? In
Yeah.
case it removes the need to see a physician or anything like that. And that's also why you can see the way the cabal has made the world and us live a certain way dependent on that, because disconnecting us from nature as much as they can, because that's
Yeah.
the only way to control us,
Yeah.
realizing the sovereignty and dependence we'll have if we connect with that.
Right.
plus the inner child. That's why they target the children so much, because they're the most afraid of them and in awe of them and what they have that they lost and they can never get back no matter what they do.
That's a huge point, my friend. Yeah, that's a huge, huge point. I appreciate your sharing that. That's very powerful. Yeah, yeah,
And you know, to quote the Bible, the child will lead the way.
yes. And
Our actual children will lead the way, but also our inner child will lead the way,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
do advise everybody that's listening to this to meditate, to connect with their inner child, to play like they did when they were a child, to see the world like they did when they were a child.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, that like in there is so much wisdom, so much understanding. And like I said, when I traveled and I met families, and I remember in particular there's it was a grandfather, and he was changing his grandson who was about 18 months around there, maybe two. He was talking already. And while the grandfather's changing his diaper, the little boy says to him, "You know, Dad, no, sorry, you know, grandfather, I remember when I used to change your diaper."
Shocking. Shocking. Wow. Yeah.
Not shocking though, but that's natural. Like that again, like all these things, it shouldn't be called like super or special. Or it's again, this is something that Anastasia highlights, is that this is natural.
Right.
It's
Right.
not special. We all have it. I'm not psychic. We all are intuitive. It's just because I focus on trying to connect again with what I once knew.
Yes.
You know, it's
Yes.
not
Yes.
outside, it's not outside of us, it's inside of us.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. I hear you.
that's what we're here to do. And
Say,
that's why I like
yeah.
connecting with um I mean I do believe that, you know, religion says we come from
Huh.
Adam and Eve, right? And
Right. Yeah.
science says we come from atoms,
Right.
and everything is made up of atoms basically,
Right.
right? Where do atoms come from? The stars. So we all come from the stars.
Sure.
We
Sure.
are seated here, right?
Yep.
So there is also a wisdom, a memory in that. If water is memory,
Yep.
atoms are memory too. So it's very probable to remember those other lives as other particles. And they say, you know, we are never born and we never die.
Sure.
The
Sure.
energy just changes form, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's this beautiful journey of consciousness going from one form to another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I hear you.
so that's why I like to say that, like in connecting with our starry memories and starry self, that Earth is something like a Harvard Diversity University for creators in training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah.
So
Do you?
we come here to be challenged. We know it's challenged. We know they're stuck, but we know that this is the graduation period where, you
Yes.
know,
Everything changes. Everyone wakes up or leaves the planet, whichever they decide,
yeah,
I suppose. Yeah.
graduation is shifting basically and birthing heaven on earth again, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why when I first connected to star beings, that the first thing they said to me was, "It's a very exciting time to be alive." And I'm like, this is you call this exciting? This is like a roller coaster. This is scary. This is, you know, like it's interesting choice of words. Let's put it that way.
Well, again, you're such a wonderful teacher, Jessica. You know, you're saying what's important, what's valuable, what's meaningful, the perspectives to carry. That this is available to everyone. It's intrinsic and inherent in all of us. I believe all of that absolutely. Do you get to spend much time in nature yourself in your own journey to
Always. I
recharge?
mean, I love animals. I have a ton of I have a puppy here. This is
Yes.
Blossom.
And
She
cats
makes
and birds, and I know you got a whole menagerie, you and your mom, right?
more cats. I wish I don't have birds, but I appreciate them outside. We're looking into getting chickens. We're looking into setting up we moved again, so that means you have to start all over again with a garden. So
Okay,
we're
good.
but oh yeah, I always find a way to get out into nature.
Good.
Absolutely. Or
Sure.
to walk barefoot or whatever I can do.
Yeah.
North Van has some beautiful forests out there, and I love to swim in like the cold lakes as well, and
Right.
rivers, streams, and ocean, whatever I can. So yeah, no, that's extremely important, right?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
In nature, even like insects or whatever, like they all. They
Mhm.
all have a right, and I prefer dirt to like hand sanitizer or any sort
Oh
of
God,
like, I don't know, we're so quick to wipe everything off and like terrified of dirt and germs, and they're our friends. So
yes, we need them.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm just really grateful to you because you really walk the talk. You know, you're really putting it out there 100%. I say again, so it's
I try.
wonderful.
I have my moments. I have my moments, right? I'm you know, working on myself too, and I've fallen off the path. I've reconnected, you know, I think you know that if you've been following me since Project Camelot, you've seen I've, you know, gone a very different way as well, and extreme from one side to the other. And I think I just, you know, do this for balance as well.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
but yeah, so it's just making something beautiful out of our lives, like a tapestry, right? No
Yes.
matter what happens, and just
Yeah.
knowing that we can always reconnect with ourselves again, and bring new pieces of the puzzle that we wouldn't have seen had we not gone in that different direction.
Yes. Yes. You mentioned your poems. Do you have any at hand you'd like to share with us today?
I
I
have it
didn't.
in.
I didn't warn you about this. This is
No, you didn't. I thought they were out of print, but my friend just recently showed me that you can buy them on Amazon still. But I don't know
okay.
how to access. I've lost connection to the account, so I don't know how to access any of the funding I made. I thought I could only have 100, and that was it. But I just, yeah, it was with
Well,
Create Space. They don't exist anymore, so I'm not sure. But I mean, regardless, you can still enjoy the poems if you want to get them. I share them sometimes on my Facebook as well.
right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I can include a link if you
Okay.
like, or you can
Sure.
add someone
Sure.
afterwards. But yeah, I didn't, you surprised me with that, so I didn't have anything on hand.
Yeah.
Um,
Spur of the moment. Yes. Well, we'll put a link there for people. That's brilliant. And I did connect you with the Anastasia Foundation, and there are other people
yes,
out there, doing similar things to promote her work. Do you have any sense of connecting with them or?
absolutely. Yeah, I've been in touch with them here and there.
Oh, great.
I've been just caught up with, there's a lot of, you know, changes going on in my life too. So I
Sure.
haven't been as connected as I'd like to be, but I'm really, really happy to hear these groups, you know, and what
Yes.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, Slightly envious, wish I did it, wish I was the one to spearhead the North America thing, but I'm glad it's done regardless. And
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing, like that's how the universe works. It will give people the same ideas. It will, you know, do whatever it can until someone picks it up and brings, you know, from inspiration to creation, right?
Sure.
Um, so they're doing such great things. They're republishing those green books again, making them more easy to access.
Okay.
Whereas before, apparently they're extremely expensive right now online to get the original green ones.
Okay.
And so they're doing that, which is great. They're really focusing on helping other readers wherever you are situated in the world, particularly in North America, to find each other.
Right.
They're even trying to do like something dating as well, because Anastasia does a lot of kind of dating projects. If you keep reading the books, you'll see, and matchmaking, and
Okay.
um
That's
and,
nice.
and a lot of
Going.
like being able to have sovereignty on your land, to not
Okay.
have the government take it away or anything like that. Though they're
Right.
doing such great work. I have nothing but great things to say about them, and I'm just so glad that they're doing this and that they're there. And I
Yeah.
hope to see a lot more, and particularly now, you know, that more and more people are like wanting to take back control
Yeah.
of themselves and their life, and just be like, no, we're not gonna let you, you know, take everything like this from us. You know,
Yeah.
there are ways where you can keep your land away from government's hands forever.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
talking about Russia and talking about control, wanting to control the whole world,
Yeah.
I really feel with what's going on with the Russia-Ukrainian situation, first of all,
Yeah.
um, if you want to control the whole world, and Russia has over 1 billion people, and you can't control that place, then the next thing they'd most likely do is turn the world against Russia, right? Because Putin doesn't want to have, and doesn't have, a World Bank, a WE,
Right.
an OFA,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other things as well, right?
Sure.
So I feel that, you know, he's been influenced by the books. Let's put it that way. Whatever. I know there's a whole lot of debate about this, where he stands and whatever, but I feel that he's definitely been influenced by the books. We know for a fact that he doesn't have much mandates out there as well from people that we've talked to that live out there. And also that he has indeed given people their land for free.
Okay.
No taxes, no nothing. And if you pass away, then it goes to their kids and so forth.
Okay.
And that's something that was what Anastasia said would happen.
Okay. Well, that's good.
These books came out in the early 90s, I believe.
Okay. Right.
So like media, you can't rely on. They're not telling the truth about anything. And I find it amusing that the people see that with the mandates and all that stuff, but they don't see it with the Russia-Ukrainian thing. Right?
There's a lot going on below the surface. That's absolutely true. You know that.
Yeah, and it's all, most of what you're hearing is lies. So what to find the real truth, go dig beyond all of that, what you're being told.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of love and light, and beaming that out to the world and doing what I love and loving what I do and trusting and being interconnected and interdirected. I love what you're saying about innocence and the inner child. I just had a session with my inner child here a few days ago for a healing crisis I've been climbing out of for the last couple months, and that was very powerful. Yeah, I mean, the kingdom of heaven is within, and to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must be as innocent as a child. And as you're saying, if we will do that inner work, then we can have heaven on earth. We can create a better world. We can bring peace back to the world in our hearts.
And also the animals, like I also like that line, the lion will lay down with the lamb. I think people say that's a metaphorical thing, but in reading the Anastasia books, like, because you haven't gotten very far, there's so much more to explore. But I'll tell you that, like, she has she lives like a fairy tale princess in which wild animals tend to her every need. Like I say, she doesn't have a shelter, but she actually stays in a bear cave sometimes with a bunch of bears.
Right.
And when she raises her children, they're raised by like wolves and eagles. And there's this chapter where the eagle takes her baby up in the skies and carries and she flies it around and shows it the forest. And like, this is all like, these animals all get along with each other. They're not like eating or hunting each other, it seems.
Sure.
But they're also like so eager to please her that they're like, squirrels will go and like find her berries and nuts, and even peel it for her. All these things. Yeah, no, it's like, it's fascinating. And she also talks about, like, we make such a big deal out of meals, sit down, take time to prepare, give your thought to that. And she's constantly talking about protecting your thought, and that she just, whenever she's like walking or going, meditating perpetually, she's just randomly snacking here and there on berries or whatever, and that's more than enough. So she's very much about like protect your child from distraction thoughts or anything artificial, which will create artificial thoughts later on in life, or even drawn to artificial things more, like material and so forth.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, honey. No, excuse me. This is, this is a lot of what we call the fifth dimension, the new earth, that many people have been started to talk about and teach about. My teacher, Patricia Cota Robles, talks about the holy innocence, that the children born since 1987, which could include you. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't like the dates because of the indigo and the crystal children and stuff like that. It has just a state of consciousness. We've had advanced souls, coming for a while now, from Tesla to, Dolores Cannon to whoever. Like, it has nothing to do with, I really don't like the dates of like, from this year to this year, whatever, because they've been coming through even in like the early 1900s, however long they need to. But yeah, maybe even more so now.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
But that's also why they're even more like attacking with all this gender confusion stuff. And
yes,
and I'm being careful of what I say because I know we're
no, you've done very well. We've not, we haven't gotten bleeped yet. You're doing very well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, so they're really, attacking the children very hard. They're really, what's interesting though too, I find, is they're unable to hide anymore, whereas before they're able to hide. And now it's just coming more and more obvious. And I think they're
Sure.
also purposely pushing that to see like how much can we get away with before people say no, that is enough. I'm not accepting this anymore, right? So interesting. I also love like word origin. So
Yes.
the word apocalypse
Yes.
and revelation, like revelations in the
Right.
Bible,
Right.
those two words do what they mean. They mean come to light of what's been hidden.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's indeed what we're living in right now.
Yes, absolutely.
All
All
coming
this.
to light. It
Yeah.
can't be hidden. And that's why I like to say, all power is secrets. So when
Right.
secrets are, the power is gone.
Right. That's at the top of your page. I love that little quote there.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What does it say again? Your
I,
quote here?
something
Uh,
just like all power is secrets. You're
secrets.
limited to
I
how much
have
you
it.
have.
I have it. Secrets equal power. Reveal all secrets, no power. Revelation, liberation, every secret will be revealed. There we go. It's a
It's
great
because
quote.
I didn't have enough space to say, all secrets are power. When the power is gone, secrets are. They
You got,
limit you in how much you're allowed to write.
I know, darling. You got the message across as you
Right.
really do so beautifully. It's a great thing. Yeah, I believe that. I truly believe that. It's all getting revealed. You know,
Yeah,
beautiful.
and so we just kind of have to go through all these layers, and like it's very um so many, whatever happens here will affect all these other worlds that are involved in watching as well.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that. I believe there's the whole universe is watching us and helping us.
But there has been other worlds that has had the similar parasites that we're dealing with that have already been liberated.
Okay.
We're kind of the last because
Right.
it's the most complicated, where there's a lot of factors and
Yeah.
layers and things to consider.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not at all for the savior idea that one person is going to save us.
No, I agree.
Be
I
it
agree with you.
Trump or be it Trump or the Q or the White Hats or any of this kind of stuff. That I'm not a fan of this. I think there's a lot of danger in this as well. Telling people sit back and watch a show or this is a
Yeah.
movie. Have your pop. No, we shouldn't be passive at this time. We shouldn't be
No.
waiting for
No.
to see
No one.
the EBS whatever, because
Right.
that's the time you lose more of your freedom, right? They're counting on that.
how,
So
how
you
how do we take our power back if we don't take responsibility for our part in creating it? Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah, and I mean, like when I talk to the the star beings, they're like, if it's like your parents cleaning your room for you, no, you made this mess, you have to clean it up,
Right,
right? That's
right,
how you kind
exactly.
of mature. I'm like, okay, that's a funny way to put it, but yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
it's really yeah, taking responsibility, like that's what's so hard, I think, about change and being able to see what's really going on in the world is because of the responsibility that goes with it,
yeah,
right? You can't
yeah.
live and think the way you did anymore. And a lot of people are being forced to see it like in a bad relationship where they don't want to see it and they live, only for the good times and have their head in the sun. There's only so long you can have it that way, right? Before it starts to be like
Sure,
so uncomfortable and so unpleasant that you're forced to change
sure.
and step out of that and end that relationship and go forward.
Right, honey. Well said, Jessica. This is what true maturity is about, which is learning the gift of taking responsibility and the wisdom, like you're saying, hon, of that all of life is connected and that we are
Mm-hmm.
all responsible for each other, including Mother Earth and our relationship to nurturing her and learning from her and respecting her. And this is all the indigenous cultures of the world, of course, that we've seen, up close, you and I and many others, they have this to teach us about the gift of responsibility as the path of freedom.
That's right. Looking after the animals, but them also looking, after us, right? A
Yeah,
beautiful symbiotic relationship.
yeah, yeah.
But again, I think that that's also why jobs have been pushed so strongly, not even the ones right now that we're dealing with, but in the past, every single one of them, actually. I feel quite fortunate in that, I mean, I've never had any jab in my entire
Right,
life, not even thanks to my mom who was quite awake.
right,
Um,
great. Yeah,
nurse and saw the damage of the
yeah.
ones they were picking on her first child.
Thank,
She's
yeah,
she has and I'm the middle child. But because of that, she realized they're all dangerous and refused to let me
yeah,
have any. I'm very
yeah,
grateful for that.
sure.
Um, because I could see like people who don't have it, they are more intuitive, you know?
Yeah,
So again, that's another way of like thinking of ways to disconnect us from that intuitive aspect. But I mean, like even down through like the polio or the Spanish flu was all jabs,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Jabs gave it to them.
yeah, yeah. No,
They're all
I agree.
dangerous.
Yeah, the whole Rockefeller thing and oil and turning, persecuting midwives and healers and alternative people and giving everyone a medical license to prescribe prescription surgery and these bloody vaccines. Yeah, it's been a madhouse for 100 years. Absolutely.
Well, actually, every 100 years they do something that to, let's say, cull the population.
Right.
So that was the Spanish flu, which we now know are jabs.
Yeah.
That was 1920.
Right.
Okay, and then they did something else, I can't remember what, in 1820, 1720, 1620. But here we are in 2020 and they rolled out that. Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I know. And I really want people to ask themselves, like, they've, for them to do all this and to work, what, thousands of years to disconnect ourselves from our divinity, like, they must know who we are. They must be terrified of us and our potential.
I agree with
So
that.
people to ask themselves, who are we and what are we
Right.
capable of, that they're so afraid of us,
Right. Right. My
right?
guides, yeah, my guides say we can do it with you, but we can't do it for you. This paradox. So you and I are remembering and using Anastasia and each other and other people who are inspirations to us to help us to expand our field of possibilities, to open our hearts, and to remember who we are, as you're saying so eloquently, and then to believe in that and see how that changes our reality. Yeah.
Particularly when waking life is such a dream, like row your boat gently down the stream.
Yes.
Life is but a dream. It really is a dream. We really are asleep. That's why they treat us that way, right? But that's also why I've really like focused on helping being active in dream world.
Right.
And I don't know if you know that, but I help people to like psychic lucid dream. And
Okay.
I actually also became quite well known after, not just because of the interview, but because people recognize me from their dreams.
Okay, hon.
Not like guys or things like this, like, you're my dream girl, but more like families would tell me they'd be watching my video, and then the kid would come up and say, I know her, she came to me in my dream, she's taught me this and that. So I know, I visit people in their dreams and I teach them things.
Beautiful.
And it's extremely important, because even your nightmares are an opportunity to, we know, like, if we fight or run, we lose in a nightmare. There's just no way. You run forever, you're in a labyrinth, a maze, like, it always finds you no matter where you go, what you do. If you fight, it's always stronger and bigger and always somehow wins, because it's not about that. It's about understanding what exactly, is to be lucid. Basically, it's an
Well,
opportunity to be lucid and realize I am dreaming, and this monster or whatever this is has no power over me.
yes, to face our
And I
fears
can,
rather than run from
that's
them.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, honey.
Because we haven't done that, because we're constantly running and fighting in our nightmares, it follows us into waking life, hence living a collective living nightmare,
Sure, sure.
right?
Yes, but you and I
So
and others are waking up and saying you can create the life that you want and live a meaningful life and be guided and supported and inspired by spirit. That there is help, there is assistance, there is higher powers of wisdom and love.
it's about collective lucid living. If we all realize that we are in a nightmare, and we
Right.
can change things as we did in the dream, because a dream, when you realize it, is like that. And
Yeah.
I believe waking life can be that way too,
Yeah.
particularly with everything speeding up and what you're talking about, the fifth dimension, as we're transitioning through the fourth dimension right now, because that's also what's happening too.
Right. I believe that. Yeah.
Realizing just firsthand just how much truth is stranger than fiction. But with dolphins, they use 100% of their brain and only 50 while they're sleeping. And humans use 100% while they're sleeping and less than 10% when they're awake.
Amazing.
or
Yeah.
that we're conscious of. So that means dolphins consider humans to be asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
And so that's also like mirroring and trying to remind us and teach us certain things about the importance of lucid living. And it's
Yes.
not easy because it's easy, again, to get caught up in our human dramas and stuff like that and forget, what's going on, right? When you are lucid and when you're dreaming, it's a lot of work to stay
Okay.
lucid so you don't fall into another dream story.
Okay.
And it's the same for waking life, because you're okay, I'm lucid, we're spiritual, I know what's going on in this moment, and then you got a call or something happens and you're just like immediately back in the dream drama kind of
Right.
thing. So it's
Right.
just don't, right, you have to just keep it's a lot of work basically to
Yes.
monitor your thoughts and remind yourself to stay in that as long as you can. And that's also, I think, where playing and the inner child comes in and seeing things in that way. So I like to tie things together. I like to take all these
Yeah.
things that seem like they don't connect and put them all
Yeah. Yeah.
into this tapestry, a beautiful tapestry.
Sure. Sure. Everything's
And
connected. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's like kind of like what my English teacher told me. Like, I've never seen anybody write like you. You have all these random sentences. I have no idea where you're going with it. And then the last sentence, you tie it in together so perfectly. So I have that habit, I guess. I
That's
like to
wonderful,
talk
honey. Yeah.
verbal Picasso.
Well, that's your loving open heart, Jessica. That's your playful, passionate spirit. Yeah. That's seeing and feeling the biggest picture possible and wanting to, sweep it all together and integrate it into understanding, and loving and appreciating life. I mean, that's right. The more we love and the more we give and the more we share and the more we can help each other and inspire each other and empower each other and act from that place of, wanting the world to be the best that it can be and wanting to be the best self that we can be and supporting each other to learn about that and to become that. Things move in a whole different way, don't they? And it is very magical and very miraculous.
Yeah, and not giving the cabal any power anymore, because
That's
they
that's
know they've
that's the way.
lost.
Yeah,
They know they've lost. They're absolutely terrified of that moment when we like all wake up and there'll be nowhere they can hide or nothing there where they can go or anything they can do. They're most likely going to be removed from this planet, and it just, they know they've lost, but people don't know they've lost, right? And therefore they're trying to milk it for all it's worth.
sure,
And
honey.
I want to say this because I want people to we're so afraid and so unsure of the future, and they work really hard. And even the kind of work I do, I work in VFX and animation, and a lot of that is stories about post-apocalyptic future worlds. They want us to visualize that as the future because they know how intuitive we are and psychic we are and sensitive we are. And if you keep visualizing things of your future, then it most likely will be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Of course,
Like
this
this
is a
is
form of
raising a kid.
hypnosis. Yeah,
This is raising a kid. If you only if you only tell them they're bad, that's the only idea they ever
sure, honey.
have, and
Sure.
then they become it because they can't. Who am I outside of this identity that's been given to me?
Yeah.
Um, so I want people to realize when we're visualizing our future to always visualize, a beautiful one, to catch
Yes.
ourselves as well, and that's
Yes.
more homework. Like this I didn't know that this interview would be me giving a lot of homework to your audience, but this is what it's turned out
Great.
to be, the theme,
Great.
I guess. But,
I'm delighted. I'm delighted.
we're always like, what can we do, right? What can we do? And so here's what you can do, right? There's a lot we can do.
Yes, dear. Yeah.
And Ireland, and Ireland is such a powerful place. I loved Ireland when I was there. I liked how how they I noticed that there was always like construction on the side of the road and they never were working. They were just playing soccer and stuff like that, or football as they call it there.
That
Um,
happens. Yes,
yes.
that happens.
And
Yeah.
the connection also with nature spirits, of course,
Yes.
and storytelling. You hear about the history of Ireland and what they've done to the people there from England and Scotland, and they've really just been their whipping boy up for Ireland.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet Ireland's never lost its sense of humor.
It's
I
spirit.
remember
Right.
when I was out there, I made the mistake. I say it's a mistake because I went to go see a stand-up comedy show,
Yes.
and it was a mistake in which I couldn't understand a thing they were saying.
Okay, right.
It's just you could see that their humor is their greatest, like they're just so playful of people.
That's
And then
right.
they would tell in stories and how they value stories like a treasure. And they
Yeah,
would say that, you know, in their time, like how we exchange movies or VHS
yes,
or
yes,
cassettes
yes. Yeah,
or DVDs, however old you are, however we
we're trading
exchange
stories
movies.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 but they could exchange stories with each other, you know,
right,
and I
right.
just thought that was so beautiful. And so I went to a dinner there one time at a restaurant, and they have storytellers. I just stand up and just start telling, you know,
Yeah,
any stories that Ireland has to offer.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
just thought that was so cool. I really loved Ireland.
It's a
But
beautiful place. Come
I love
anytime.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down in
Yeah.
Cork. Yeah.
And you have Elena Danan out there too. Did you know that? She lives in Ireland.
Yes, yes. She's a friend of mine who keeps telling me to connect with her.
Yes, this you definitely should. She's fantastic. I've been watching a lot of her videos and I just love her. Just
Okay,
nothing but positivity about the future. And she's an amazing artist, rescued
okay,
from a bad ET abduction to some good ones that, you
okay.
know, took her on this journey. And because she's such a good artist, she can draw everything and all the beings she's met and what they're about. She's so fascinating. She's fantastic.
Beautiful.
She
Okay.
works a
Well,
lot with Alex Collier, who I found when I was very young.
yes, I know
So
Alex. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah,
yeah, so they're very close now too and doing some
yeah,
great stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. Well,
Mhm.
Jessica, thank you for a fantastic hour and a wonderful bunch of love and wisdom and inspiration, my friend. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure, a pleasure. Do we want to send people to your website and we'll put some links for your poetry and the YouTube?
Haven't done much with my website. I feel like it's just been a bunch of tumbleweeds there, but sure, you're welcome to find me. And if you want to, you know, connect with me, feel free to reach out to me there. I'm on social media as well.
Great.
Mainly Facebook and not so much Instagram. I don't know why. I'm just not an Instagram girl.
Me
Yeah.
either. Me either. Yeah. Well, your Facebook posts are great. Your commitment to all of this is so inspiring, and it's just been a joy to connect with you. And I'm delighted to get to meet you after all this time. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you.
Ditto. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, we'll leave it there for now, and maybe we'll get a chance to reconnect here in a few months and see what the updates are about everything. Yeah, we'll find out.
Good.
Okay.
That'd be
Thank you.
good.
Peace and blessings, my friend. Have a wonderful evening.